such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing as a silent witness. If you are a believer, if you are a child of the King, you must open your mouth. You must say something. And we're about to say something. This woke theology garbage is garbage. I don't know where these people come from. What has happened to the church? Ran across this. Someone sent this to me. His name is James Harris. He has a YouTube channel called Conversations That Matter. It's going to be in the description of this video, so visit his YouTube channel. The video actually describes what he experienced as a student of Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. I believe that is in Louisville, and I'm pretty sure that is L. Mohler's institution. Well, he has a video pertaining to a lot of people at Southern and things that happen. And I've already got 4 clips that are just unbelievable. And these clips are the things that he experienced there. So I want to play the clip, and then we'll comment on how this is absolutely a twisting of the gospel. All right, here it is.
I'm old enough to remember when anything that even sounded like social justice was an antithesis to the gospel. Mm-hmm. Some of that is because of a capitalistic framing of the gospel that we're in America. And it's this idea culturally of an individualist lens versus a collectivist lens. Okay. The gospel speaks to the system. Mm-hmm. Jesus was crucified because he disrupted the system. Mm-hmm. So even when you interpret the gospel, period, you must think in terms of a system.
It's always struck me as a great example of systemic bias, really academic systemic bias, when we look at somebody like Martin Luther King Jr. and so many people want to just kind of wholesale discredit him. Yeah. We might embrace somebody like a Jonathan Edwards, yes, or other Puritan leaders, yes, who have questionable beliefs, yes, and questionable, yes, life practices.
I'm not sure I understand what he was saying with Martin Luther King. I'm not sure he's sure what Martin Luther King and what he was saying about discrediting Martin Luther King, that somehow we can discredit him. Well, we discredited Martin Luther King not only because of his lifestyle, but because of his theology. Martin Luther King wasn't all that solid when it came to what the Bible says, what the Word of God says. I'll leave that to another video. But here's the thing. The first one, James White, that the gospel in our context, in our culture, is seen through a capitalistic framework, an individualistic framework. And he says because capitalism, if you follow his train of thought, capitalism promotes the individual. And it's a system thing. And it's wrong because you can't think of it in that way. And although he didn't say it, not individualism, but system, group, socialism. That's what he's saying. He's juxtaposing individuals and groups. And he uses the term capitalism, but he's afraid to say what he really means. That's socialism. That's what he's saying. And then he says this, which is flat out heresy, that the gospel affects systems, that when you think of the gospel, you must think of it that in a systematic way, that it affects and it changes systems. Wrong. Heresy. I am not going to think of the gospel in terms of a system. I'm going to think of it as an individual. God died for people, not systems. The blood washes individual souls, not groups. And that is heresy. That is a change. That is a warping. That's a twisting of the gospel. That this woke Christianity garbage is pushing. John 1:12, but to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. It's children, each child, each individual person. I've never heard of a group accepting Jesus altogether. I've never heard of it. Hebrews 9:27 and 27 and 28. And just as is appointed for man to die once, after that comes judgment. Man, the individual, 101, mano y mano, you and God. That's where judgment's going to be. So Christ, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting for him. Is he truly saying that groups get saved? That the gospel somehow washes groups? That's what this critical race theory does. It gets you to think about groups. Individuals are lost in groups. Groups are judged. Groups are rewarded. Groups are penalized. Some groups can do no wrong. That's heresy, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the gospel. And this woke stuff, now we're starting to see the theology of this woke Christianity, this what is social justice? He labeled it social justice theology. Now we're starting to see what this truly is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's garbage. It is heresy.
For such a time as this.